The Dark Urge is one of Baldur's Gate 3's most interesting early game choices, and if you haven't picked it up as your first character for your very first playthrough, I'm here to tell you it should be number 1 on your list for your second go around. Let's get into it. Baldur's Gate 3 is here, and if you haven't been losing sleep to this gargantuan RPG, well, you've probably been making better life choices than me for the last 48 hours or so. There is a lot to get your head around in this game, especially early on, and that starts before you've even kicked off the main storyline with the first hurdle of the game, character creation. Just like D&D, Baldur's Gate 3 has a lot of options, allowing you to build a character however you want, right down to what they're packing underneath their tunic, but thankfully, we're not here to talk about that. While most vets of RPGs will spend probably the first hour or so painstakingly making a character, Baldur's Gate 3 has helpfully included some origin characters. Pre-made avatars that can either be your player character or be recruited as companions as you play through the story. And while we'd mostly advise that you avoid them entirely, since they essentially rob you of a potential companion later down the line and they require a bit more role-playing than the personification of you that you can create, there's one pre-generated character that is a lot more interesting than any of the others. Behold, the Dark Urge. The Dark Urge does not conform to one set race or class. You'll notice if you choose them in the select screen that you can be anyone or anything. They are unique among the pre-gens in that you can actually make them however you like, assigning your desired race, class, subclass and abilities as you would if you were designing your own character as normal, but with a dark twist. You see, the Dark Urge plays much differently from a regularly created character. First of all, the Dark Urge has no memory of its past. They do not know who they were before being abducted by the Mind Flayer, but they do know that they did horrible things. And your character, defined by the Dark Urge, is divinely compelled to commit atrocities and do harm at every turn. Their background is ripped straight from a D&D campaign. You are a haunted one. A wicked moment, person or thing that cannot be slain by sword or spell haunts your mind and flickers in your peripheral vision. You carry it wherever your adventure takes you, or perhaps it carries you. Playing as the Dark Urge doesn't just mean role-playing like a single-minded evildoer. The game completely changes how it works to practically encourage you to act as evilly as possible. You will be plagued by a voice telling you to do terrible things, and it's up to you whether you fight the urge or give into it. And sometimes, even if you as the player want to fight your character's dark nature, the dice can decide that the urge wins this time. It's a uniquely different way to play the game, even for those of you who gave into your darker natures and roleplayed an evil character from the jump. The Dark Urge has unique cutscenes, dialogue, and choices throughout the game that a normally created character simply never gets to see. It's a unique playthrough that will change your perspective about how you normally play. Not that absolutely everything is different, obviously. Corroborating a recent claim from a Baldur's Gate 3 writer that the game is big budget horny, even characters controlled by a mysterious dark entity are looking out for some love. The Dark Urge can romance another character, but much like a standard playthrough, each relationship will vary depending on your choices, and whether you give in to your Dark Urges more often, or try to resist them. Look, the Dark Urge is not for everyone, and we wouldn't necessarily recommend that you kick off your very first adventure in Baldur's Gate 3 by immediately giving your character over to the forces of evil, but if you ever, somehow, find yourself growing tired of playing through Baldur's Gate 3 as the hero, surely it wouldn't hurt to try the Dark Urge at least once. After all, what could possibly go wrong? And that's why you should try the Dark Urge at least once in Baldur's Gate 3. The game is absolutely huge, so stay tuned as we discover new stuff and share it with you. And if you're new to Baldur's Gate 3 and you want your first playthrough to go as smoothly as possible, check out this video here.